Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about something fun for Christmas. And the thing that I wanted to talk about was human exploitation. Now, it doesn't have a fun ring to it, but it is a Christmas season. I thought, Tony, cheer people up and talk about something fun. And I thought to myself, what's more fun than human exploitation? Stick with me. You'll see, it's hilarious. So there's this idea that we've been convinced that the sexiest thing you can do is be a hustler, right? And be a grinder and start some sort of business, right? Here's the thing. When you think about the world, right? You always hear these sayings by people like, like if someone doesn't get paid well in their job, someone says, well, you don't have to do that job, right? Like these sort of very simple, like small level sort of thoughts where it's like, big picture, man, look at the big picture, right? Because everything seems really like small and like very simple, just looking at it directly. Well, just you don't have to do that job, right? Wow, that's a very great piece of advice. Well, if you don't like that job, you don't have to do it. Because technically, that's right, right? But that's not how things work. You can't just look at it so small-sighted that it's like, well, you don't like the job, don't do it, right? Or somebody will say another cute saying, something like, well, it's just supply and demand, man. Supply and demand. The reason doctors get paid more is because they're in, they're in higher demand. Like, anyone could work at McDonald's, right? Supply and demand. You can hire anybody off the street to work at McDonald's. They're not important. But the doctor, he's really important. I'm here to say that the person working at McDonald's is just as important as the doctor. Because if the guy doesn't work at McDonald's, you don't get your fucking hamburger. That's the thing. See, we value people based on supply and demand, and that's mentally insane because they're people. We live in a world with human beings who have families, and so the taxi driver, the guy working at McDonald's, the guy who cleans the streets, the guy who works at the factory producing all the horse shit you buy every day, those people are just important as the doctors and the lawyers and the people who have like when you talk about supply and demand, man. But here's the thing that's crazy. The thing that's crazy is that, and then you always hear these stories. Oh, come on, man! I lived in the projects, or I lived in a housing community, and like my mother was addicted to crack, and I was poor. I got myself out of it. I hustled. I grinded, and look at me now. I'm rich. This idea that one guy got out of poverty, and now we can all do it, man. But that's not how it works, because there's only a select few of really high-paying jobs, because the rest, 99% of the jobs are just regular jobs, right? Done by useless people, supply and demand. The reason you don't get paid well is because you don't really mean much. We can replace you with anyone else. Supply and demand, man, right? So this idea is most jobs are done just by regular folks. They're not fancy jobs. Now, what would happen if all those regular jobs, everyone stopped doing them? Society would stop. You wouldn't get your Starbucks coffee, right? Go through a drive-through where all the regular people work. Who's going to serve you your coffee? Nobody. So this idea is we value human beings by shit like supply and demand, man. It's just the way it is. What do you expect? If you don't like that job, don't do it. But the problem is, if everybody didn't like those regular jobs and they decided not to do it, society would stop. Because there's only a small select of fancy jobs. Most jobs are just regular jobs. So this idea of like looking at people and be like, well, supply and demand, man, you can't expect to get paid well because you do a useless job. We can just replace you with somebody else. And that's human exploitation, right? But it's okay. You don't have to work there. You can just quit. Right? You can just quit. Supply and demand, man. What do you want? This kind of idea of looking at the world is the small-minded way of, it's insane, which is why we have the world that we have, because we value people by supply and demand, right? Even though 99% of jobs are just regular jobs, factory workers, people who work in retail, all these regular jobs, but they're not really that important. Supply and demand, man. Just quit your job if you don't like it. But you can't do that because all jobs are regular jobs. Most jobs are just regular jobs, right? This idea that we can all become doctors or we can all become lawyers. Imagine if the world was just doctors and lawyers and all the other jobs didn't exist. Nobody cleaned the streets. Nobody, you go to a retail store, no one's there. You can't get your coffee. It's just people who work fancy jobs, but then the streets are vacant. No one's there to serve you, right? So that doesn't work. Everyone can't quit their low-paying job and become doctors and lawyers because we need other people. Most people that we need are the regular job folks, right? But it's supply and demand, man. What do you want? Just quit your job, right? This sort of way to look at it is just insane. And this idea is, to make it even more crazy, is that we have been convinced by very charismatic business type people that you should thank them for this great opportunity. That's another thing that we always hear. Yeah, Tony, but the rich create jobs. They're job creators. Thank you, rich person, for creating more jobs for us to do to make you even richer. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because that's what a charismatic business type guy does, right? He puts an ad somewhere. I have a great business opportunity. And then everyone goes there to the meeting and he's like, hello, folks, sit down. First of all, isn't this great? I'm a job creator. And then he gives his pitch for his bullshit idea. And the bullshit idea is basically this. I'm going to hire you 200 people for my bullshit idea. You're going to make me money. And that's the business idea. But let's make it sound sexier, right? So this idea is you make it sound like you're giving them this great opportunity. And what that great opportunity is to work for them to make themselves richer. That's the great opportunity. And you know how much they pay you? The smallest amount they possibly can for you to still come to work. That's how that works. So it's like you sit down, these 200 people, not only are you going to get exploited by this guy, because when I talk about this idea that human society is basically just human exploitation, this guy who's giving you this great business opportunity, right? Because these rich business type people, they're job creators. Oh, that's interesting. That's cute. If they're job creators, why do they, instead of making their products here in America and giving the great American people, North American people, jobs, why do they make their product in China or some other country and pay the workers 30 cents an hour? Why don't they make the product in America if they're great, they're job creators? Why do they make it in some country where they get paid 20 cents? Why? I thought they were job creators. Right, because it's just like there, they can make it for cheaper, make even more money. So it's not really about creating jobs. Because that sounds heroic when you say, oh, but you have to understand, Tony, rich people, they're job creators to give us jobs. If that was the case, why is anything made overseas? Because it's cheaper to make and you make even more money. That's why, right? Right? So it's basically this idea that they're job creators is complete nonsense, right? And you have to thank them for being such great job creators. But really, all you're really doing is, like I said, this charismatic business type person invites 200 people in a room and you're supposed to thank them for this great opportunity. And you know how much they pay you? The very minimum that they can for you to still come back. Because this is how it works. Okay, so I pitched my great idea. Are you guys in? So this great idea I have, okay, I need you guys all to work for me. See, because I need you to work for me. Do you see how business works? You're working for me. We're not working together. It's not a togetherness thing. You're working for me. Just that by its definition is flawed because that can't possibly be an equal agreement because you're working for me. It's me. It's about me. I created a clever business idea to make myself money, right? Because that's what we value, business. What is business? It's just making money. Making money, simple as that. And what's the most ideal way to make money? To exploit other people. Get someone else to make your product in a country where 20 cents an hour to them is like, oh wow, 20 cents an hour, this is great. So you sit down these 200 people and you tell them about your bullshit business idea, and then when it gets down to payment, you go, so yeah, I'm going to pay you guys, I'll pay you guys $7 an hour. How's that? $7 an hour. And everyone's sitting down is like, I don't think so. And then the business guy's like, oh, okay, fine, all right. $9 an hour. I'll pay you guys $9 an hour. And everyone's like, I don't know. Business guy's like, okay, you guys are really tough. Okay, all right, man, $10 an hour. That's it. It's my final offer. I mean, come on, that's crazy. $10 an hour. And then everyone's like, okay, I guess I got rent to pay. I got food to buy. All right. And you just kind of take the job, right? You just kind of take the job. So basically, you get paid the absolute smallest amount for you to still come back the next day. That's how it's done, right? Because the idea of a business is not to help humanity and like, let's all hold hands. It's to make money. And the way you make money is by exploiting someone else to make that money, right? Because that's how it's done. Now, yes, there are jobs where you're not exploiting people for money, but a large portion of business is basically just, oh, I'm going to hire you guys to make myself money, but I'm giving you this great opportunity. That's how it's always sold. I'm a job creator, and I'm giving you this great opportunity to work for me. Will you work for me? It's not, let's work together to create something. No. Will you work for me? Oh, you will? What's the smallest amount I can pay you for you to still work for me? Because I'm trying to make money. I created a business idea. Hey, supply and demand, man. Everything's supply and demand. It is what it is. I'm going to pay you based on what you're worth. So if you're a doctor, you get paid a lot. But if you work in retail or at Starbucks, McDonald's, you're a piece of shit. You're not really worth any. Supply and demand, man. I don't make the rules. I'm a good guy. It's just supply and demand. Hard facts. It's just numbers. We're not people. We're just numbers. Look at the chart. It's supply and demand. So basically, people have become just statistics on a chart. We're just supply and demand, man. Hey, you don't like the job? Don't do it. You don't like the job? Don't do it. Simple as that. See how easy it is? I just ranted about this for 14 minutes, but it's really just, you don't like the job? Just don't do it. Wow, the world is so simple to fix. You don't like that job? Don't do it. And ironically, if everyone did that, the streets would be vacant. It would just be lawyers and doctors with vacant streets, because 99% of jobs are just regular jobs. But we can't pay them a reasonable rate because supply and demand, man, they're kind of useless. We can replace them with other workers. They're not prestigious, right? Pretty cool. So that's my Christmas that's my Christmas rant, just to like bring a bit of joy for the Christmas season. So remember, when you see 99% of the human population struggling, barely getting by, being exploited, but they were given a great opportunity, they're not exploited. They're giving same way when they, instead of giving North Americans opportunities, they pay someone else in a third world country 10 cents an hour. They're giving them a great opportunity. Remember, it's not human exploitation. It's just a great opportunity. And that's what we need for Christmas, great opportunities. So I hope you're all doing well, and that's it. Bye.